Hamas, they have responded and sent a chilling message to Donald Trump regarding his comment about all hell will break out. We'll talk about that more in details in a second. So before I move on, just to remind you, most of my viewers are not subscribed. Consider subscribing if you're not yet. Middle East latest. Hamas brushes off Trump and insists all parties must be committed to ceasefire. Now, of course, this is something not new because we have seen how Donald Trump is using his mouth left and right, cannot shut it up. And now it is getting noticed by countries, head of state, Jordanian king, Egyptian presidents, even now including Hamas's leadership. Hamas has brushed off President Donald Trump's threat that all hell will break out. All hell will break out if it does not release the remaining Israeli hostages held in the Gaza Strip by Saturday. Hamas spokesperson Sami Abu Zuhri said Tuesday that the dozens of hostages would only be returned if all parties remain committed to a ceasefire deal reached last month. And to be honest with you, what I see is this. It is obviously making sense, and it's very, very common and logical that you give me my hostages, my captives back. I give you your war prisoners, war criminals back. And when I use the word war criminal or prisoner of war, I refer to the Israeli hostages because they're not really hostages. They are criminals. They are actively fighting against the people of Gaza, the civilians there. But when I use the term hostage, it is the Palestinians. They're being held hostage without any trial. And one person, thank you for that, commented on my channel. He said, Guy, you should not be using that word against the people of Gaza or against the people of Israel, calling them hostages, because they're really not hostages. They're actually war criminals. And I agree with that. So you give back my people, I give you your people back, and that's how it should work. But for Trump, because he has so much arrogance and he has a mighty military, he thinks he can bully everybody and get his way. Guess what? They couldn't do it in Iraq. They couldn't do it in Afghanistan. Even Afghanistan, they tried almost 22 years. Iraq, they have tried many, many years. They couldn't do it even in Gaza. They gave all the weapons, all the bombs to Israel, but they couldn't get the job done. So, Donald Trump, your arrogance and all this kind of hyperbole, I think you should just keep it quiet a little bit, because at the end of the day, we look at results, not at your military might. You may have the biggest military, the most powerful, but if you are not bringing results, you should not be so arrogant. Hamas spokesperson Sami Abu-Zuhri said Tuesday that the dozens of hostages would only be returned if all parties remain committed to a ceasefire deal. Quote, Trump must remember there is an agreement that must be respected by both parties. End quote, he said, adding that threatening language only complicates matters. In other words, what the message they're sending to Donald Trump is very, very clear-cut, that you do not know how this whole thing works. Therefore, shut your mouth, because this thing is very, very complicated. It is not cut and dry where you just bring your hostages, get my hostages back and everything is done. No, there are so many other variables here at play. Hamas has threatened to delay the next release of 3 Israeli hostages due Saturday, accusing Israel of violating the ceasefire agreement, including by not allowing a surge of tents and shelters into the devastated territory. This is something very, very common for Israel. This is what they have done with the Lebanese ceasefire with the Hezbollah and also with the Lebanese government. They promised them, we will withdraw our troops. Next thing you know, instead of withdrawing, they're actually attacking people. They're getting ready for war once a ceasefire deal is signed. This is what diaper army they do. So they're now preventing these people from Gaza from building these tents. Let them leave. Let them leave. They don't want to allow them any basic necessity. This was also echoed by Itmar Ben Gavir, the ex-minister. He was Home Defense or whatever minister he was. He said we should be not allowing Gaza any humanitarian aid. And I said this before, now that you guys have allowed humanitarian aid, now look, we are being defeated. This is what he said about the people of Gaza, allowing them basic necessities. Even today, right now, they don't want to do it. They do not want Gazan people to leave, even to have food, basics, food, waters, shelter, none of those things. And this is the mentality of a monster. And now Donald Trump looks like he got robbed of those kind of mentality from the Zionist monsters. While Trump said the ceasefire should be cancelled if Hamas does not release all of the remaining hostages Saturday, he also said such a decision would be up to Israel. Yeah, not up to Israel. It looks like you're barking more than Israel these days. During the first phase of the ceasefire, Hamas has committed to freeing a total of 33 hostages captured in its October 7th attack in exchange for Israel releasing nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. And all of these prisoners, 2,000, they are actually women and children. At least more than 90% of them. Okay, maybe some of them were fighters from the Al-Qassam Brigade, but 90% of them, according not what I'm saying, it is coming actually from mainstream media and also people who are on the ground in Israel. They have witnessed that all of these prisoners, they are not charged with anything, and these are women and children, because women and children, what are you going to charge them with, right? So when you see they are not getting charged, it automatically means that, yeah, these are women and children, because they can do nothing. The sides have carried out 5 sweeps or swaps since January 19, freeing 21 hostages and over 730 Palestinian prisoners so far. The war could resume in early March if no agreement is reached on the more complicated second phase of the ceasefire, which calls for the return of all the remaining hostages and an indefinite extension of the truce. I don't think that Israel has the any pent-up energy to go back to Gaza. I don't think that is going to happen, because they were massacred, they were annihilated, they were destroyed in Gaza. Their military vehicles, they lost hundreds of them, of their Markova tanks, they have lost their helicopters, they have lost a lot of things, and they have also lost their military personnel. So I don't personally believe that this kind of rhetoric that, oh, Israel is going to go back to Gaza and they're going to demolish or destroy Gaza and destroy Hamas, these are all empty words. And I mean, this is why we call them barking dogs. Really, they are barking. They do not bring us results. Hamas brushes off Trump's words. Cairo: Hamas has brushed off President Donald Trump's threat that all hell will break out if it does not release the remaining Israeli hostages held in Gaza Strip by Saturday. Hamas's spokesperson Abu Zuhri said Tuesday that the dozens of hostages would only be returned if all parties remain committed to a ceasefire deal reached last month. And he's not going to change his position. He's not like the Arab leaders, because he has nothing to lose. Abu Zuhri, people like him, they have nothing to lose, because his family most likely got wiped out by Israel. He has nowhere to go now. He doesn't even have a house. So these people, they don't care about anything from this world. They want to die. I mean, the kings of the Middle East, they have lot to lose if they piece off Donald Trump, right? Or a Zionist entity. Trump must remember, this is what is there. There is an agreement that must be respected by both parties. This is the only way to bring back prisoners. This is the only way. The language of the threats has no value. Wow, look at this. No value. I don't care what you have to say. It only complicates matters, he added. No value. Donald Trump, whatever you're saying makes absolutely zero sense to us. Hamas has threatened to delay the next release of the 3 Israeli hostages planned for Saturday, accusing Israel of violating the ceasefire agreement, including by not allowing a surge of tents and shelters into the devastated territory. Trump said Monday that the ceasefire should be cancelled if Hamas does not release all the remaining hostages it is holding in Gaza by midday on Saturday. Though he also said that such a decision would be up to Israel. The agreement calls for the gradual release of dozens of hostages in exchange for thousands of Palestinian prisoners. Israeli man thought to be the oldest hostage was killed in 2023 attack, military says. Israeli man, 23. I mean, they have killed so many of their own people, and they want to put all the blames on Hamas. Well, Hamas doesn't have that much of, ammo to destroy or kill innocent civilians. The one they have, they're actually using. The other day, I have seen a video or a footage, a picture. They were using machine gun or some kind of gun, automatic machine gun, something like that, made by Israel. So they are actually borrowing or getting those weapons they need so desperately from Israel. And on the other hand, you see people like Marco Rubio, Donald Trump, accusing and Netanyahu accusing, oh, they're killing innocent civilians, they're killing our hostages. They don't have the ammo even. They don't even have the machine gun. They don't even grenade. They don't have nothing. Now, this is why people in the United States are freaking out. Take a look at this one. I find this to be so hilarious. Take a look. Did you read it? I'm not going to read it for you. You can read it. So, breaking. This is what I'm reading, the caption. Antifa thugs break into Andrews Air Force Base and paint graffiti on Air Force One ahead of President Donald Trump's trip to New Orleans to watch the Super Bowl. Okay, so this is, again, I find this funny. Let me know if you find it funny too. But this is what Donald Trump said earlier on Fox News. Take a listen what he's barking about.
We'll build beautiful communities for the 1.9 million people. We'll build beautiful communities, safe communities. Could be 5, 6, could be 2, but we'll build safe communities a little bit away from where they are, where all of this danger is. In the meantime, I would own this. Think of it as a real estate development for the future. It would be a beautiful piece of land.
Would the Palestinians have the right to return?
Spent. No, they wouldn't, because they're going to have much better housing, much better. In other words, I'm talking about building a permanent place for them. Because if they have to return now, it'll be years before you could have it's not habitable. It will be years before it could happen. I'm talking about starting to build, and I think I could make a deal with Jordan. I think I could make a deal with Egypt. You know, we give them billions and billions of dollars a year.
Well, you don't have to worry about the Palestinian. I mean, you are elected based on America first, right? Why you are talking about Palestinian? Why are you talking about Gaza investing there? What is your business there? On the other hand, you are stopping or shutting down U.S. aid. You are shutting down Department of Education. All of these agencies and departments are getting shut down because you believe they are scamming the government. Then why you are giving this money openly to a country, to a foreign country that really you have nothing to do with? Anything, no business. You have no business in Gaza. Why are you going there? What is your main reason? So this guy doesn't know what he's doing. His actions, words are very, very contradictory, to say the least. And this is why perhaps his military is rising up. The guy Michael Kurilla, his army general, he said, "I'm not going to go to Gaza." He was supposed to be going to Gaza on a scheduled visit. He said, "No, I'm not going." So it might be it's time for military to wake up and make their own decision instead of relying on Donald Trump's word that changes faster than the season in the United States.